here on 3 sections. These are Leydig cells, these are Leydig cells, these are Leydig cells. They're also called interstitial cells. If you see that word, it's the same thing as a Leydig cell. Interstitial is actually the newer name. Leydig is the older name. But again, they exist outside of a seminiferous tubule. So you won't see them associated, there are some here, but they're blending in. You won't see them associated with any seminiferous tubules. These are some as well. So Leydig cells are outside of the seminiferous tubule. What's this?
Tails.
Of? Spermatozoa. What's this? Seminiferous tubule. What kind of tissue is this? Testes. Good.
I'll never look at Cheerios the same way.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. This is a very particular type of tissue, and whether I ask you for the anterior or the posterior, I will always show you both. This is the pituitary gland. And the pituitary gland has an anterior pituitary and a posterior pituitary. The anterior pituitary, which in this orientation is on your left-hand side, but will not always be on your left, is glandular tissue. So it has the look of glandular tissue. It's very dense. It picks up a lot of stain. The cells are very round and very plump. Then there will always be a physical gap. And then you will see the posterior pituitary. The posterior pituitary is actually nervous tissue. So what we see are the darker staining neurons. We see axons and dendrites and sections of neurons over here on the posterior pituitary. The verbal cues I'm giving you are the best ways to memorize these tissues. If you try to remember right and left, or you try and remember dark pink and light pink, you're going to get tripped up because we have this same slide stained about 4 different colors. Okay, but if you remember that this is glandular tissue and this is nervous tissue, and I will always show them to you right next to one another.
The lighter part, is that on the right, on the nervous tissue, is that the myelination?
It's not all myelination. A lot of it is just the matrix, and also the support cells are in there, which are called the glial cells. Yeah. But you will always see them together. Again, I would never go all the way into one or all the way into the other and ask you to identify it. Alright, here's pretty good. Alright, this is the thymus. And the best way to identify the thymus is not actually by this tissue, but by this tissue. What is this and this? Adipose. The thymus tissue is the only sample you'll see that will have a real abundance of adipose tissue all around it. The thymus lies normally over the heart, but it's gone in adults. You have a thymus when you're little, and it kind of degenerates, and by the time you're 18 to 21 years old, it's gone. But one distinct thing about the thymus is that it is always surrounded by adipose tissue. So again, I'm telling you that because anytime I ask you for the thymus, I will make sure that you can see the adipose tissue. It is glandular tissue, so it has that look. It picks up a lot of the stain. The cells are very round, very plump, very dense. So the good visual cue that you have for thymic tissue is the presence of adipose tissue. tissue, but I'll take you through this one as well. This is a pancreas, and I'll tell you how I know. One of the easiest ways for me to identify the pancreas are by these perfectly circular little missing pieces of tissue. Okay? The pancreas has a very delicate cell population called islets, pancreatic islets, also known as the islets of Langerhans. Whenever you section the pancreas with a razor blade, those islets are so delicate that most of them tend to get ripped out and discarded. And that's why you see these little, tiny little delicate circles missing. So my eye always looks for those. And then I will also try, of course, to find an intact islet. See, perfectly round. Missing islets. I saw one earlier. The islets only make up about 1% of the cells inside of the pancreas. The majority of the pancreas is for digestion, but a small amount will be used for endocrine function. All right. Again, not the best, but it's going to have to do for now. There is an islet. It's right here. Okay. I'll find you a different pancreas section. I wouldn't use this one on a test. But the pancreatic islets usually have a different density than the tissue around them and will stain a little bit lighter than the tissue around them. But again, this is not a great pancreas slide, so don't worry. If you don't feel comfortable with the pancreas yet, I will find another one. Okay. This is the adrenal gland. It's a gland, so it has that glandular look about it. A lot of students end up calling this slide the purple pork chop because of this vaguely triangular section in the middle, and there's this large kind of piece of junk in the middle, okay, that makes it look like the bone of a pork chop. This small triangular section in the middle is the medulla. Medulla is a generic anatomical term that means inner. So the inner portion of the adrenal gland is called the medulla, and everything else around it. The cortex is huge. Like if I leave this to go, here's where the cortex starts. It's going, going, going. There's where it ends. Cortex means outer. The outer portion of the adrenal gland is called the cortex, and then this, again, vaguely triangular shape on the inside is called the medulla. Again, not great because of the camera, but when you look through it, and I will let you use color on this one because I know that we only have 2 adrenal slides and they're both the same color. This actually has a little bit more of a purple stain to it, and this has a little bit more of a pink stain to it. Okay, so that's the adrenal medulla and the adrenal cortex. Okay, what kind of tissue is this? You guys should already know.
Oh, that's,
Thyroid. What's this?
Colloid.
These. Follicular cells. These. Parafollicular cells. And there is no parathyroid on this that I saw. Yeah, it's just a tiny little section of thyroid tissue. Okay, what tissue is this?
Ovary.
Ovary, good. That's a Graafian follicle.